Well, I mean, I think you have to start with the creation story of this park. And so we go back to the 1860s. There was a wave of urban density in this city, spawned by the gold rush. People were coming here as a sort of a way station before they went off to the Sierras to pan for gold, and they got their materials in order, and maybe they came back with gold and got some money that they put in a bank. Anyway, we started seeing lots of people come to San Francisco, and our, I guess, mostly founding fathers at the time said, you know, we've arrived. We're a major city now.
In the 1850s and 60s, as San Francisco was growing, city leadership decided that they wanted a park that would be like New York's Central Park.
We brought Frederick Olmsted, who designed Central Park and many other parks, and we showed him this swath of land and said we'd like to build a park here, and it was nothing but sand at the time.
The legend is that he arrived and they showed him the vast expanse of sand dunes and said there will never be a park here.
The greatest park designer maybe in world history passed on Golden Gate Park, and instead he recommended that we build our big city park north-south along Van Ness, which is kind of interesting. When I meet with kids or members of the public and they ask me about Golden Gate Park's creation story, I actually tell them that Golden Gate Park exists because of Cheerios. And they look at me kind of funny and they ask me to explain. So William Hammond Hall was a city engineer at the time, and he knew this guy who was a gardener for large estates down in San Mateo County. His name was John McLaren. And as the story goes, and perhaps it's embellished, perhaps not, the city engineer, William Hammond Hall, and this Scottish fellow gardener, John McLaren, were on horseback surveying the area, trying to figure out how they could get trees to root in these sandy dunes. And they got off their horses, and one of the horses' feed bags spilled into the sand. And in the feed bag was oats and barley. And so they got an idea. So what does that have to do with Cheerios? When you put milk in your Cheerios, what happens to them? They get spongy. And that is exactly what they were trying to effectuate. So they created this mixture that would allow trees to root and withstand the winds coming in off the Pacific. And so Golden Gate Park was born.
So the Panhandle today is actually one of the densest, most diverse collections of trees that there are, because they tested out so many different kinds to see what would grow. So that served sort of as a laboratory for them in the early days.
We call it the Panhandle because it looks like a panhandle, but what it really is a mini version of Golden Gate Park. And that is where William Hammond Hall and John McLaren planted over 70 species of trees because they were trying to figure out what trees would be most resilient given the winds, given the climate, given the salty air. In fact, one of the Monterey cypress trees that is really well known in this park is right in front of McLaren Lodge that we call Uncle John's tree. We believe it to be well over 130 years old. And it has been lit for the holidays. Every holiday season, we light this tree. It's a tradition that's been going on for over 95 years, started by John McLaren. One of the goals that Hammond Hall and McLaren had in constructing this park was to make it easier for San Franciscans to appreciate parts of California and parts of the Great West that you couldn't otherwise travel to, right? So there are waterfalls in this park. There are different testaments to the Sierras. The bison paddock was constructed for the purpose of giving people a sense of the Great West.
There's still a little red barn there where they had animals. It was like a petting zoo that kids could come and play with. And they had a pen for a bear called Monarch the bear, who was the model for the bear on the California state flag. Like, there were animals sort of all over the park. Now the only animals penned into the park are the bison.
So the park was built over decades and decades and decades. There were two seminal events that motivated development of the park, and one was California Midwinter International Exposition in 1894, and then the Pan-Pacific International Exposition in 1915, which was particularly important for our city because we were still recovering from the great earthquake of 1906, and there was a big effort to bring the world to San Francisco to show how, we had recovered from the great quake. But both of those fairs sort of galvanized a lot of the structures that you see today and a lot of its features, such as the music concourse, such as the Japanese tea garden. Some of the lakes in our park were created with those fairs in mind. So again, the park was created over decades and decades.
The park has such a history of music, and they built the band shell and the Golden Gate Park Band, which is 150 years old, more or less. The Japanese tea garden was built for the Midwinter Fair in 1894, and it was built by members of the Hagiwara family, and they actually lived on site. And then, as part of sort of the hysteria during World War II, the family was sent to internment camps. So the Sharon Playground was the first public playground in America. It was sort of in an era where people were rethinking childhood development, and there was this consensus that children needed to play outside. It's amazing because it feels like a very modern idea and a modern thought, but it goes back to the 1880s when the playground was built. There were swings and sandboxes. It's not the way we build playgrounds today, but I think it was pretty extraordinary.
I'm not sure how much John McLaren and Phil Ginsburg have in common, other than being the two longest serving parks directors in city history, but we both hate statues. And McLaren felt, as do I, that parks are living and breathing, and they evolve over time. Just like trees and plants and grass, parks should continuously change in form, in shape, and in values. And statues actually fix a society's values from a moment in time in a park in perpetuity. He felt very strongly that parks were not cemeteries. And so he hated statues. The Scottish derogatory term for a statue was a stookie. McLaren got in battles with City Hall over things like statues and lost quite a few of those battles. But he got the last laugh because every time a statue was placed in this park, he would plant little plants and shrubs around the statue. And then after the dedication ceremony, everybody would leave, and then the plants would grow and they would cover up all the statues.
It's amazing to think that there was car racing in Golden Gate Park, but in fact, there was well-known San Franciscans like Leland Stanford would come and watch car races there. And in the 30s, as part of the Works Progress Administration, to sort of pull the country out of the Depression, it was remade into the meadow that it is today. One of the things it became known for was the home of the center of the Hardly Strictly Bluegrass Festival. So it was, in 2011, it was renamed Hellman Hollow in honor of Warren Hellman and his family, who put on that free concert for the city.
So I think we basically were working on the park for well over 20-something years before it was ready for a superintendent. And it was at that time that the city hired John McLaren officially to be the superintendent of the park, and he served in the role until he died in 1943. And around the time that he became superintendent, the city built this building, which we now call McLaren Lodge. It was originally intended to be the park's headquarters, and to this day it is believed that this building is haunted by the ghost of John McLaren. And that theory is taken so seriously that San Francisco has its own ghost hunter association. You may not have known that. And they have been here with ghost detection equipment. And they fully and wholeheartedly believe that John McLaren's ghost is in this building. He's right behind me right now, and sometimes I look at him and he's got this very serious, stern look, and he's always saying to me, "Don't screw it up, Ginsburg. Don't screw it up." Golden Gate Park was designed to be an oasis from the density of the city. It was where people came to get out of the city. And so Golden Gate Park was designed with overstory around the perimeter and sunken meadows. And the idea is that when you're here, you've actually escaped the city.
The Gardens of Golden Gate Park is a partner that now runs the 3 important gardens in the park. But so many pieces of the park were privately built. The DeYoung family built the museum, and the Sweeney family built the observatory on the top of Strawberry Hill. The renovation of the Golden Gate Park Tennis Center, which was an amazing historic facility. And now it is probably one of the best public tennis facilities in the country.
So Mr. Sharon was a banker who left some money to the park, and the Sharon building was created, but the meadow was really never named after him. It was just informally called Sharon's Meadow up until I think 2017, within a couple of years after Robin Williams passed away. The Rec and Park Commission decided to name Sharon Meadow Robin Williams Meadow. And the reason for that is in that meadow, every year in the fall is Comedy Day. And Robin Williams used to go to Comedy Day quite a bit, and he supported it financially for a number of years. He would never tell anyone he was going, and then all of a sudden Robin Williams would just take the stage. So pretty cool. So we decided to name that meadow after him in 2017. In the Great Earthquake in 1906, thousands of people actually were sheltered here. I like to say that this park is the keeper of San Francisco's story. From different parts of the city's history, from the gold rush to the Great Earthquake, to all the crazy stuff that happened in the 1960s, to the tech boom, and then to Floyd, and now to the pandemic, this park is the keeper of our city's story. This is where San Franciscans have come to celebrate, to mourn. People come here to get married. People come here to sing and to dance, to explore nature, and people come here to find their inner quiet.
We really think about the park as something, sort of share the responsibility for making sure this park is as beautiful as it is.
We get 25 million visitors a year. So when you think about the number of people whose lives have been shaped or impacted or enriched because of this park, it's really quite overwhelming.